Good morning once again. Thank you so much for joining us this time for Issues at Hand, and we have already spent some of our time, so I'll just get straight to the point. Now we have a labor export industry that is growing by the day, but there's some few challenges that we face here and there when it comes to the labor export industry. Some of the people that are taken to other countries to work come up with complaints, and of course they face challenges as people who are not nationals of those countries where they go, and today we'd like to look at some of those challenges as well. We will also cover the leadership of the labor export industry in Uganda. Are they working together? How many entities are there from government anyway? Is there a body that unites all labor export leaders in one association so that they can be able to talk about these issues? This is what we are here to discuss today. My name is Carol Tumwine Noamani, and you are watching Issues at Hand. We are powered by Protea Hotel, by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best. They do have a number of things, including a menu that can be suitable for each and every kind of person, because they have continental cuisines as well as other dishes on their menu. They have a health club and very many other things. Check out Protea Hotel by Marriott in the heart of Entebbe town. Okay, let's get into the discussion. My guest today is by the names of Kayonde Abdallah. He is the President Migrant Workers Voice and quite an experienced person when it comes to labor export. You're welcome.
Thank you, Carol.
Introduce yourself and tell us a brief bit about Migrant Workers Voice.
All right. My name is Abdallah Kayonde, like you have introduced me. I am the founding president, Migrant Workers Voice, and we voice for the voiceless migrant workers.
Okay.
These are workers that leave Uganda for a short term period. They are economic migrants. They don't go to live abroad forever, like those who shift they migrate for citizenship. The kind of people we represent are those that leave Uganda purposely for work and return. So they are very vulnerable group of people, and that's why we are always up here as a voice to call upon government for governance, because without governance, you cannot protect these workers' rights.
Okay.
Governance comes about inclusion of stakeholders and regarding whatever steps necessary as recommended by the International Labour Standards to protect these workers. As a government, you must look into that, and Uganda is a signatory to these standards. So this is what we stand for, and we derive ourselves from that angle.
Okay, thank you so much. There's a new formation being formed where bringing togetherness and a joint platform that unites labor exporters and the leadership in general. Tell us about that.
The new formation coming up is aimed at governance. You know what is trending in the international labor arrangements. What is trending now is labor migration governance. It is seen that irregular migrants are facing more troubles, more challenges, and yet trying to resolve these challenges becomes a problem when they are especially not documented, or they find themselves having no strings attached. So if you really want to carry a sense of protecting these Ugandans or any migrants from different sending countries, there must be a sense of governance and responsibility, stakeholdership. So for Uganda, as private entities, we proposed to have at least a joint one-stop center that can at least unite our voices. We have for long tried to all stand for these migrant workers who are distressed mainly in the Gulf. Not only we, the migrant workers' voice, but even when you look at the other compromised element, compromised party, I always call it compromised party because it was forcefully given this responsibility to compromise. The recruiters, they are also concerned, after recruiting these Ugandans to these countries, the line ministry, the regulator compels them to monitor what they have already earned the profit. You see, it is a total compromise. So the sense into which you see these recruitment agencies struggling to support even what they cannot reach within other jurisdictions, it really shows you how much they want to care even when they are hand-tied. That the programs that were put by the regulator without consulting the stakeholders really jeopardizes and exposes lives of Ugandans. So when we sat down, we all saw that if recruiters who are being put into a very compromised situation, and then the workers who are suffering, and then the people who are training us also found themselves in dilemma, that they don't know exactly what to train us in. Even when they start up these training centers, they try to teach what the ministry is telling them, but what they're teaching does not match up to the real life experience that is happening abroad. So it makes these workers, these trainers also get puzzled. At the end of the day, looked at as if they are perpetrators of suffering. People who are only teaching fixed mindset, or people who are only teaching unreal things. They're in the ideal that the reality is different. Whatever they're teaching is different from whatever is happening. So looking at that, we saw it that our aim, regardless of our walks of life, we are all targeting to protect a Ugandan. One, a Ugandan who needs a job, a Ugandan who wants to go work safely, stay healthy, get a salary, and return home. So there was no reason why we cannot have a joint center. And this is where I'm calling upon all stakes to consider this one-stop center an external labor powerhouse. For us as Migrant Workers Voice, we are member. We already subscribed to be part immediately, because we have thought to be included in many activities. But it seems the regulator was disinterested. As you saw her of recent, even when she moves to other countries to lobby for jobs, she wants to act as if she's in the private sector. She wants to move alone. She forgets even the businessmen in Uganda.
We're talking about the minister?
Yes, the businessmen in Uganda who are going to be recruiting the workers to go to Jordan or Saudi or anywhere. She moves alone with all her ministry officials. Imagine, you go on a mission to negotiate labor issues, and you forget the stakeholders, majorly the workers' representatives. It is key. If you really want to remove the suspicion of anything, of dealing, of selling, of trading these workers, why would you leave their representatives? Why would you want to leave their recruiters? Their recruiters' representatives must be part, because these are the people who are going to prepare those people, those destinations.
Are you saying that as a ministry, gender labor and social development is unable to stand on its own as a ministry and communicate to these other countries what you would have communicated as stakeholders?
It is not like that. In immigration governance, it would be prudent for a minister in such a capacity not to work alone. There is a multi-stake approach that is required if you want to create normal governance. But once you move clandestine alone, that in itself, you are creating a leeway for dupe work or for crooked work to be done. Because these people you are leaving behind may not be on the same platform you are. The following day will come like I am here today, opposing this minister's position. You understand? What if I was on the panel? Would I be opposing? Because whatever that I see that is not right, I would have fronted it in the same panel at that time. But many workers, even here in this country, I told you we are voicing for the voiceless migrant workers who have no leadership. You understand? That you cannot say you are dealing in human beings, but when it comes to preparing whatever you're going to give these human beings, they do not count. They also sit down, they wait for you, you go behind the closed doors, you prepare their food, then you bring and serve it. How are they sure that they are not part of the menu? We are not sure. Even the salaries you negotiate. You go to Jordan, you negotiate an equal pay, and when it reaches deployment, we start working, our members start working, and they find that work is different.
So, Minister Betty Amongi,
and yet you cannot allow us to take an equal negotiation.
So the issue that she went alone to Jordan to, strengthen bilateral relations between Jordan and Uganda so that Ugandans can be able to go back to Jordan and work. And your issue is that she did not come back with a report to say, or she didn't include you as stakeholders to say, here is what we're going to do as a ministry. This is what we planned. And even when she came back, she didn't say, here is what I've gotten out of there. These are the salaries. This is how I've planned with Jordan or other countries. Is that the issue of stakeholders?
No, the issue, of course, the other issue involves exclusion of stakeholders. If we are talk about
First explain to us what Minister Betty Amongi did exactly.
Minister left Uganda with a group of officials from Ministry of Foreign Affairs and her ministry. Mm-hmm. You know, about 5 officials from her ministry. So we wondered, sponsoring all those 5 officials from
the same ministry,
and you leave out the stakeholders. What are you up to? What are you showing off? You know, you go and make a gallery such that you lie to the president that we have been in Jordan, and then you don't even focus on some people from government who have been in this destination, and you don't even ask the question why the recruiters are retractive of deploying in the same zone. If you really don't have business, interest in business, you, the minister, to be as if you are in practice like these private people, why are you so skeptical in moving along with these very practitioners in private sector? Because you're a public servant. We don't believe in you wanting to front the ideals of the private sector without the private sector themselves leading. Because you're not, at the end of the day, Mr. Betty Amongi, we don't expect her to have a company. She's not going to be the one to deploy. She's supposed to regulate. Mm. So whatever the case, that she wants to continue moving that way brings suspicion.
How about you hand over your issues to the ministry? For example, the permanent secretary or a state minister or something, then it can get to her desk that these are the issues we'd like you to present to Jordan as you strengthen the bilateral relations. These are the issues that are pressing Uganda. How about you take your issues, present them to the ministry, and then let them represent you?
That has been done several times. But the response to those, even when they go there, we find out that whatever that comes out clearly shows that our points were not considered. To give you an example, the current regulation, many stakeholders proposed changes in the regulation. We wrote to this ministry. And what they do is to throw away whatever we write, and they come up with whatever they think until we are in jeopardy. This is continuing. Recruiters write, the workers write, but whatever we write does not be considered. Then they go by whatever they think until we keep to be slaves as we are. You cannot tell me that you want to go into bringing back a region or revamping Jordan, which Jordan has to base on Saudi Arabia embassy. You see, there are some nitty-gritties we are basing on to argue. You cannot tell us that you are bringing back Jordan to begin receiving Ugandans, where many Ugandans are incarcerated, are missing. You cannot even account. You in the line means you cleared them. Even in her statement, she said that there are people who are missing. Even when she went there, she did not see them. Even the government of Jordan cannot trace them, yet they entered. And then the next day you clear business. Secondly, you come and say that you, the minister, you have failed to manage with the embassy in Saudi Arabia. The Ugandans you clear to go in Saudi Arabia, where you have a live bilateral, you understand, and a full-fledged embassy. But this embassy is the same embassy which has failed to monitor and follow up Ugandans in Jeddah, in Dammam, in Riyadh, those big cities of Saudi Arabia. You cannot manage your own jurisdiction. Then they give you another responsibility to manage Jordan, where there are no consulates. There are pressing concerns we have. That's why we feel like even crying when we see this woman moving like that. You cannot, you see, they chased them away from Oman. It's not that Oman doesn't want workers from Uganda. They do. But Oman gave them a condition. Please do your best as a country. Interest yourselves and be serious. put up consulates in Oman, such that we get how to deal. Because in the consular alignment, it is only under diplomacy, under the Vienna Convention of 1963, that aligns these consulars to be always at the side of the distressed criminals, the distressed migrant workers. If you really want to mean protection of Ugandans in another country, and you don't observe the Vienna Convention, which aligns you to diplomacy, where you have to use your consulates to go and defend the criminals in incarcerations, you cannot go again and start up a labor business, which results in many criminality.
But before I even get to Jordan, you people, I hear that some of you stakeholders and people who take people abroad, you're the problem. You do not listen to their issues, or they do not listen to their issues, the exporters or the people working directly exporting these people to work abroad. The recruiters. They don't listen to the issues of workers. The workers. They only care about money.
Okay.
And whenever a problem arises, they kind of backtrack themselves. They remove themselves from the picture.
All right. Thank you so much. I really like that question. You know why everyone is confused in Uganda about this labor export? The regulator is a problem. You cannot tell me that you expect a fox to be in charge of a meat store.
No, of course not.
Even when I see you asking me that question, I see someone who is set in mind to believe that a recruiter who recruited me on a profit will be in charge of protecting me or protecting my rights. How can he protect his profit and the rights of the worker he has already sold or exposed? You get where the wrong is? The wrong is systemic. And this comes from the regulator. When the regulator expects to hand over the role of protection and monitoring to the recruiter, but this recruiter's jurisdiction is Uganda, you cannot begin clinging and blaming these companies for not helping Ugandans in Saudi Arabia and Jeddah when you yourself, and Jordan, when you yourself as government having a role of protecting your nationals in other states. You cannot even have a single consulate. You cannot even have a single monitoring budget. You cannot even have a single attaché. You don't have an alternative, but you want to blame someone who is lame because you have licensed her. Isn't that enslaving this person?
So what should the ministry do? What are some of the things you'd expect from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development? Before you throw stones, what do you expect? What are the expectations?
Does that sound to be stones to them? Have I not stressed the point clearly?
A little bit.
But have they picked the sense of the stone? Because whoever stones you must have been provoked. The issue is, do they see any sense in their alignment? Is that possible? Isn't that jeopardizing and crushing us? It is therefore prudent for them to look into their system and organize it. The system must be benchmarked from the senior countries, like a Philippines. Philippines has aligned its system to include everyone, including workers' representatives, workers' administration, right? It has aligned itself for government to always be packaged along, the workers. Wherever they go, their offices, there is Powewa, Polo, and OWA. These are three entities. That Polo, being a government in it, Polo is everywhere in every country, attaching attaches to assist their nationals. Powewa is another ministry of gender, or the Ministry of Gender Desk, which is responsible for always organizing these businesses. It has officials who are looking at the business and taking it serious, trying to give the nationals a chance to do what? To always have jobs. Then OWA comes to be the administration of workers. It is everywhere. Polo, Powewa, and OWA. These are agencies that are moving and have attachments to each and every country where this country called the Philippines deploys its own. How many Philippine people have you had being mistreated and they have not been given justice? At least there is a team attached. Tell me, where is that for Uganda? When a Ugandan suffers in Saudi Arabia, the minister, a parent runs to the ministry. The ministry again calls the company, which has already failed to monitor. The companies say, we are hand-tied, we cannot trace the girl, we cannot, please find the way. So it's a blame game. They keep tossing one another until one dies.
You people, this is not nice. We need to find a solution. I don't know if it's from the ministry that is supposed to be very hands-on with their work, or it is the stakeholders. That is what we're trying to understand today as we discuss labor export and its challenges as well as its thrives, because we cannot only look at the challenges. Very many people have gone abroad or have gone to these countries and actually gained a life for themselves. So it's an important part of us as Ugandans, and we have to discuss it. But let's take a very short break, and when we return, we look at the new mandatory NSSF payment that migrant workers are supposed to pay. Can you imagine? Stay with us. It's issues at hand, and we are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. You're still watching Church of Uganda Family TV, particularly Issues at Hand with me, Caro Norman, and we are here discussing labor export and what is it exactly that we can rectify. As the media, we can only give platform to some of the stakeholders to come up with solutions on how best to curb the challenges that face this industry. There are a number of them, and they have been there for a while. We are only wondering, will it improve or will it get worse? I'm here with Mr. Abdallah in studio, and he's shedding more light since he's more experienced in that area. I'd like to start with my question of, there's a new NSSF mandatory charge that is supposed to be paid by migrant workers. I don't even know it's fair. It's still a proposal. I don't even know if it's fair, but kindly take us through it.
We some time back, before even that old man Ismail Churi died, the minister came up with this proposal, and he started saturating social media as she was proposing that Ugandans should start savings mandatory to NSSF. We wondered, where does it connect? Clearly, actually, this showed us.
Are they government workers?
Good question. It showed that the minister is just jumping up and down, and actually does not connect. Does not connect to the reality or whatever other stakeholders may be talking about. The same thing I have been talking about to her going back to Jordan, repeating what was already done by Ambassador Abe Warusimbi. Because you saw in the same news you check all over media, we saw Ambassador Abe Warusimbi meeting them after visiting Jordan, and he was giving the same duplicate, that the same report, but still he was recommending otherwise. Recommending that issues can be resolved fast before deploying. This one just went back to repeat the same thing, as if she did not know that her colleague had already gone there, and she was supposed to listen to this, because in his capacity as an ambassador of all ambassadors and ambassador of diaspora, he made an assessment and he came back with an observation, which as a line minister has to look at. But this lady still went ahead. He gathered all her ministry officials. They went to Jordan, as if, I don't know, even the one who sponsors these journeys is the problem, because you cannot sponsor almost 5 ministry officials, leaving out the stakeholders. Secondly, they again went to Dubai some time back. They went to Dubai in the same gesture, all of them, but they went to Dubai during holidays. They took photos and exposed them in media, lying to us that they had gone to open up the operationalize that bilateral, that MOU in Dubai, which was signed during Franka Tumebaze's days. Is it Janet Mukwaya? Since then, it has failed everyone to operationalize it. We don't know what is the deal these guys are having, because they only show gallery as if they are caring about us. They spend money in these journeys. We don't know whether they are targeting IOM money, which is sponsoring them to go, and they wastefully spend this money there. We really don't know. Now, the same thing on NSSF. About NSSF, we are wondering, why would you begin bringing a program you know that this scheme concerns national workers? How does NSSF saving connect with the migrant workers? If you are not targeting only money, to get this money and add it in NSSF and you steal it. Yes, because you tell me, how will you trace? If you cannot trace the migrant workers, the savers, you have no traceability or tracing system. How are you going to account for what? For their savings? How will they check on you when they have got no leadership? You understand? Because even in NSSF, they have the NOTUs, Simanyikov too, and they have their bodies as workers, which eventually come up to concern and raise, defend their fund. But now you want to propose a fund just like that. It's like taking us for granted, and yet you are exploiting us as migrant workers, as if you cannot emulate from other countries that are exporting, like Philippines. They have a full fund for migrant workers. It's special. They did not mix it with their national fund, for reason that these things don't connect. And when you begin collecting these funds, they are different. The activities are different. We need a special kind of fund which will care about our on-site, our pre-departure challenges, on-site challenges, and reintegration challenges. But for you are telling us somebody should only take the money to NSSF and begin saving every month, even when you are not sure that their salaries are being paid. Because many of our Ugandans,
nice one,
they have died demanding 8 months, 10 months. But the body, I always go to the mortuary. You watch a body being done post-mortem, but this body is demanding 10 months. Bambi, she died when she was struggling to demand a salary. This is the person you are telling that you are going to, she should send her money to NSSF. Of what benefit when you have no structure on the ground to assist her when she's in distress? Does it really carry sense? This is what pisses me about this Madame Betamong. She's a woman who doesn't resonate. You have not put properly structures to assist the people you want to impose on an insurance or whatever scheme you are bringing, but you want to quickly land on their money and call it saving. Is it about saving? This is how they are messing up even the training. They have filled your training centers with is it financial literacy? They forget things that matter, that lead these girls to be jeopardized. They forget to emphasize and sensitize more about these workers' mindsets and the rights, and then they resort on financial literacy. They augur well with banks. Bank officials who go to these companies and these training centers trying to portray as if they are teaching financial literacy. Who told you that somebody lives in Uganda without knowing that she's going to earn money? Did you tell her to come to your office? Do you force them to go that they don't know where they send their money or whatever they will utilize their money for? How come that financial literacy becomes key in your curriculum? And you forget the human rights. You forget all the entitlements embedded in the human rights standards. The standards, the international labor standards. You forget emphasizing on what matters, and then you begin looking at things that do not matter at all. You understand?
Kind of an insurance scheme by Gender, Labor and Social Development is trying to come up. Insurance scheme of sorts. Do you want to explain that to us?
The ministry last time called us because we are the ones who requested to have...
Who is us?
Migrant workers. They called migrant workers and the other stakeholders. This time they called us because they had made a deal with an insurance broker. When Minister Beta Amongi had just come in that office, we wrote to the ministry, migrant workers. We wrote to the ministry, raising our concerns and grievances about our own who return home in distress. They are abandoned, they are just dumped on board and they return like that. They die. No covers, no what. So we were concerned until we wrote to the ministry requesting for an insurance scheme which caters for all the issues, not only the money bit or the saving bit or the benefit bit, but also the other care, on-site support, and including all the coordination
and safety.
So for them, they went ahead. Once they listened, they had the word insurance. Their mind went on to now they went to Insurance Regulatory Authority. They connived with the Insurance Regulatory Authority. I will call it connivance because they went ahead, this authority, and my father, Haji Kadunabi, they agreed to organize something to steal our money. That's where we reverted and said, no, you are joking. You cannot say, because you know how insurance operates. Insurances gather money. They gather money. And when you don't get a problem, you don't ask for that money. Right? Which is not the case that we were proposing. We were proposing a case that we can partially benefit from this fund as money is being contributed in form of insurance or welfare. This fund can be utilized to support us on site because we are all targeting to go and work. Before you tell me to get a benefit after death, I do not go there to die. Don't tell me I will give you 80 millions when you die and then you cannot save me to get 24 millions while I'm at work site. It means you intend to expose me. When I die, you give me 80 millions. They said they are going to insure. They are going to insure people who commit suicide. That they will give 80 millions to people who commit suicide. And they will make sure they cool down all the noise. Whoever runs out of job will be given 30 millions. Can you imagine?
They are not
ready. Yes, these are not allegations. They are not ready to assist anyone at work. Listen to me closely. But they will compensate the one who runs away because the one who runs away brings noise to government and it makes a problem. So we shall always make sure whoever runs away, we shall give 30 millions, but we shall not assist her to get 24 millions or 20 millions while she's safely in her contract. That way means you are accomplices. You are aiding these people to get wrong because the wrong pays more than the normal. You get my point? Then they go ahead and tell you, because that defeats our understanding, and we wonder whether these, even the embassy people, we have heard them several times commenting that they do not have a budget. And when you talk from our networks as workers, they tell you, when I reach the embassy, they go to me now, somebody, he came and paid money and they took me after me running away.
Oh.
Which means the embassy may be benefiting from the wrong. That's why they are skeptical from aligning and from the transparency, from the light. Because they are also recruiting from the wrong. If I'm an embassy official, and if somebody runs out, or I send my boys somewhere, they make her run away, she eventually lands in our hands at the embassy, then we use the guts of the diplomacy to say we have protected this person, and again we negotiate. Another Arab comes, buys her direct from the embassy, we find a way of fixing it, the other one takes her, we have already covered her under diplomacy, but now she has been resold. Who receives that money? There's no follow-up on what really happened. You never wonder, why the one who tortures this girl is never asked. Why are you tortured? Why would you emphasize or encourage workers that wherever they get problems, call the police? These are workers. They face civil challenges, not criminal challenges oftentimes. How do you tell them to zero at criminality that they have to bring in police, not a labor office? Why are you not present at the work site always to give these labor distress points where they can go and their disputes can be resolved, than you always compelling them to run to police? Secondly, if you really are not up to emphasizing criminality, why would you encourage these workers to, put shelters like a Sakan? There are shelters where workers have to run, but the person who is chasing or who is causing constructive dismissal to this girl is never questioned and actually is compensated. That whenever a girl runs, this boss will be compensated under their insurance, but the girl will never receive any insurance.
No, that is not nice. But because of time, let's wrap up the show. Some of the things you've said are very sad and unbecoming, and I hope that the stakeholders, if they watched this show, should be able to come up with something that will bring better news to our ears, hearing that our children are out there and this is what we are going through is very, very disturbing. But thank you so much for being with us. We'll have more time and invite Mr. Abdallah back. Also from officials from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to see to see what they have to say about all these issues. It is a very, very big concern, and of course now other people will be scared to go and take on work that would have helped their livelihoods improve because of these issues. And I believe they can be solved. I believe we can come up with systems that can favor mostly the person who has gone to work, because that is the person who goes through all the things. These other people just see from the sidelines. These girls are the ones who suffer, or even boys, they're the ones who suffer at the end of the day. But that was Issues at Hand for you this morning. My name is Carol. Stay with us. We still have a lineup of programs coming up. Also, you can join us on our social media platforms. That's at Church of Uganda Family TV on Twitter, on Facebook and Instagram. Then our YouTube, where we post these subsequent videos. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.